Gingy boy? I think it's about that time.
It is about that time.
So we do a little midpoint review-a-roo of Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Oh! Oh!
What are you doing up there?
What are you doing over there? Drone is probably very noisy. It seemed like a good idea.
Yeah.
To just walk around this beautiful lagoon.
Yeah. Which we haven't done yet.
And chat about 10. There was a little bit of grogginess on Ginge's end.
Yeah, I have a headache at the moment, and I'm not sure if that's
banging headache
because I'm tired or because the amount of questions I have from Final Fantasy X at the moment for getting to the midway point is just
yeah. You said you were sat there thinking about what's happened in the game so far.
Yeah.
And it just gave you an absolute cracking headache.
Yeah, big headache.
And I just had insufficient SD card space flash up. Fuck. I'll hold on to this. Go! Go! This is a great idea. This is a great idea. Best one we've ever had.
Yeah. Even more than going to the Monkey Island. Oh, I don't know.
Whoa.
I really don't know about this.
Do it for the 10.
No.
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 You can try.
Come on, I've got a monkey bit on, man. I cannot.
Watch your feet as well, because you've got like loads of red ants around there. And they're going to fucking bite you.
But it's 10, man. And it's water. It's a watery themed
I know,
game.
I want to get in there. But
God, it'd be so perfect.
I don't trust the boat.
Come on, man. Let's go do it over here. Lame. Lame.
This is like
even here, there's ants crawling up my leg. There's no way to enjoy the natural outdoor world.
No, there really isn't.
It's not like Besaid. It's just not.
No.
Spira made Asia vibes look enjoyable.
They didn't tell you about all the insects that are...
Yeah,
look at him coming along.
That's where I've been bit.
Yeah,
He's coming my way.
They're nasty as well.
Fuck off.
I wouldn't forget you.
Fuck off. Welcome. Hello, guys. What
at the third attempt.
And all we wanted to do was do a midway review of 10. Pretty crazy that day 5 of streaming and we're already at the halfway mark.
We are. We really are. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it's been a wild little ride.
It has, yeah.
And even for me, I mean, it's a brand new blind experience for Gingy Boy. And for me, it's playing a dearly beloved game that I haven't glossed over in so long.
And I think you guys have been, from what the reception we've gotten back from people as well, you've been enjoying seeing it all again as well, haven't you? So,
yeah. 10 is a game that people just show up for.
Yeah.
Time and time again. Yeah. And whether that's the aesthetic, like Final Fantasy going with that age vibe, you know what? The medieval, we did that for a bit, then they went modern, sort of steampunk, 7, 8, and that caused a lot of outcry.
It did.
It caused a lot of outcry, yeah.
It's funny because 7's such an
iconic
game.
one, but there's like the real classic fans. Then when 9 went back to medieval, I think that satiated people a bit.
Yeah.
And 10 was indeed going to be a medieval game called 17.
I remember you saying this.
A game where at the age of 17 there's a disease that some people at the age of 17 will die. And Tidus and Yuna, Tidus being an angry underwater plumber.
I can never get over that.
I can't remember what Yuna's role was in the OG concept. But anyway, it wasn't going to be Final Fantasy. The team was so uninspired creating a medieval world, they were burning out.
I can well imagine.
Yeah.
You've been using that same sort of setting for
it
such a while.
It felt like an obligation,
yeah.
I feel. And then bam, in came 10. Leagues different. Not just aesthetically, and stylistically, just in terms of what it was doing. It had voice actors in. PS2, it was there to try to take down the GameCube. They released it the same day.
They did?
GameCube.
Wow.
Yeah. And it just absolutely smashed it out of the park. All outlets were giving it 9s, 9.5s. So the only kind of criticisms I saw was that some might find the metaphysical story a bit too hard to digest.
I actually do have a headache at the moment, and I don't know if it's because I'm tired or because after playing the game today I've just been like, wow, so many questions, so many sort of like theories that I've sort of had about it. And
He's had some good theories.
why did Seymour show Zanarkand as a city to the entire group? Like,
Yeah, so when we
Obviously,
go to Guado Salam,
obviously Oren and Titus are the only ones that really know what that looks like, and it's kind of weird that he showed that.
yeah, so weird why, but also how.
And how did he show it?
Yeah.
And obviously Seymour's a summoner. He managed to find something like anima. Could he be more powerful than he's letting on, or could he be?
Sorry, Ginge, to cut your theory, but look at that fat old mole. That's a cool statue. Yeah, so could
Could he have summoned something? Could he have done more to trick? Because I don't know what Seymour's intentions are still at the moment.
yeah.
Could
So
he
what
have
does that fundamentally mean with Zanarkand?
Could it be an illusion?
Do you think?
It happened 1,000 years ago, and
What? So it was an illusion, like Zanarkand never existed, or?
I mean, it's just funny how Titus has been transported from there and woken up 1,000 years later, and whoever he mentions it to
Woken up.
live in a dream.
Could it have been a dream? Man, this guy is bugging. He's absolutely bugging out on this story. Look at the crazy nonsense he's coming up with.
Does it make you proud?
It makes me very proud. I can't tell you how close they are.
No, I wouldn't want.
Spoilers.
No, but it's good to have that.
Yeah.
It's nice to be in that position, actually, especially a game that's so old to sort of come and play in it, and it's not something I've had before.
Yeah.
Like
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe because of the way we're obviously playing it, and we've gone into this thinking more on that sort of line of things. Games that I've played before on my own, you sort of just play it and you accept it as it comes. And
Yeah.
this, it's like actually like taking a deeper thought into it and looking at some of the themes behind it.
Yeah, and I would say that that's kind of been what I've personally loved about being a YouTuber, doing YouTube and creating content, is that when you know that you're going to be giving this game a review, you go it with a bit more of an analytical approach. Now, when you play it by yourself, you still get the sort of feelings and sensations, and you get the beats, the story wave over you.
Yeah.
But you don't go at it with quite the same analytical eye that you do. And that, for me, has been my experience. Going over 10, watching little things closer, and for me, the immediate jump outs were just considering. We talked about how jilted the voice acting was. That was by nature, them lip syncing it to Japanese and getting English voice actors to say, "Yo, deliver your lines, but deliver it within this time frame," and the way his mouth is moving, and it does cause some strangeness in it, which has actually become kind of endearing to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It tied us.
Sorry, just watch the GoPro because that's a pond.
Oh, that's it. Is a little pond. Oh my god! I just
heard
kicked
it
the
moving,
GoPro
I was
into the
like-
pond. God dang. And yet still, like, despite that jiltedness, to see how much in the cutscenes and the story and the interactions between the characters, there's so much suggestive, evocative back and forth expressions that give away double meanings.
It really does.
Hints to things later.
And that's something the game almost wants you to pick up on those. A few games I played these days, like more modern ones, have been you get what you're given in terms of the dialogue.
Spoon-fed it,
That's it, and they don't really rely on you to look for like little smirks or facial expressions of characters, or even just like little laughs that characters have. Like Oren's laugh, like Oren laughs so much at some of the questions that Titus asks him, and it's like, he definitely is not letting on as much as he should. Like he knows not to let Titus know, I suppose, but he's not letting everything on. And
and I would say the game, it really challenges the player, or it kind of like trusts their intelligence. That's the vibe I get from 10, and it sort of plays out in the way that the pacing of the story, the way that the plot points build and start unfolding with you. When you immediately are dropped, because the opening's pretty wild, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is crazy.
You suddenly cast into this underwater blitzball game, some crazy theme, and a big flood comes and a city's destroyed, and you're sucked up into some sort of whale's arsehole.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, you don't even get that. You just get, it's like just a sphere of water at the start, isn't it? You don't really see too much.
And then you're shot off into a world where you have absolutely no idea what's going on, and that feeling is just extra fueled by Titus's confusion.
Yeah.
And that he has no relatability with this world. He has no knowledge of it.
No.
Why people act the way that they do. And that was very much Square Enix's intention, to make us, the player, be just as questioning of this world. We just got not too far away, I think it might have been yesterday, the scene where they talk about Machina and being a summoner, and Titus poses some question like, but why is it evil? Why is it bad? Why do you... And Yuna just thinks, man, no one's ever asked me that.
Yeah.
I've never actually thought about it. And everything with Waka and his opinion with the Albed, and everything with the Yevon Church, and parenting was a really big theme we've been talking about, and something that we kind of been having very anecdotal back and forths.
It has brought up a lot of anecdotal stuff, hasn't it? It's sort of just comparing like the way your parents bring you up, or even people
your conditioning.
Yeah, your conditioning from it, and even not always having a father figure or motherly figure there to guide you, and having people that aren't always supposed to bring you up in that sense.
Bring you up, like with Waka and Lulu. And even the downfalls of two completely opposite parenting styles. Detachment has been a personal fascination of mine. That's kind of like why I sort of blipped out for the last year to just go on these journeys and actually go a bit deeper into detachment, and detachment from what we think we're here to do, what we feel our obligations are, what our duties are. And every human does have obligation and duty. But how we approach those, the attitude that we take towards those, that's something that 10 very much explores, in my opinion. It's what's so different about Yuna and Titus. Yuna is so fixed in this sense of obligation and duty that sort of comes down from her father. And we just saw in the stream we just finished, at 7 years old, it kind of hit me, like, seeing it, that at 7 years old, Yuna made the affirmation to herself that it wasn't about her happiness, it was about making other people happy.
And that's a strong affirmation to have at 7. Like,
very strong. And for me at least, it seems like a very honourable thing. That's why you kind of look at Yuna and you can't help but have a lot of respect and admiration for her. Especially, and she's so reserved, and she's so polite, and she's so kind, and you'd be easily convinced that she's a well-rounded, healthy individual. But actually, that's not quite the case with Yuna, is it?
No, I don't get that vibe off her at all. She's a very obviously innocent and pure character at base, but you can see that there's probably things she hasn't taken the time to sort of question stuff, as she says, and think for herself, about herself.
That's it, explore her.
Explore. She's always been sort of focusing on making other people happy. Like for the part of the game we've obviously got up to now, obviously Seymour's asked her the question of marriage, and she's like, she doesn't necessarily, and Lulu sort of spoke to Titus about it and was like, sometimes you have to marry sort of
for reasons other than love.
And
or more for Lulu, it was kind of that because Yuna's whole life is dedicated to making the people in Spira happy, that getting married to Seymour was just another means to that end. So why wouldn't she? And everything's about that. And then Titus gets thrust into this story, who has no control over his emotions. He's this cocky kind of blitzballer and very sort of free-willed and strong-spirited. He doesn't ascribe to any tradition or ideology or religion. Which massive part of 10, breaking away from religious doctrine as well. But not just breaking away, because it's similar, I think, with the obligation point. And this is what's really stood out, is that these things exist in our lives. Things like what we believe. Because atheism is just as much a belief system, and how much you imprint that onto yourself, how much of a part of your identity you make it. I feel like what Titus has done coming into the story is he's showing, while we may have to do these things, because Titus has an obligation as well, especially now that he's been thrust in this world against his choice.
Yeah.
And there was that scene with Oren, wasn't it? Where he was like, well, I don't have a choice, do I? Do I? What choice do I have? Like, I'm going to go with you anyway. And he's completely rebelling against the idea of obligation. And Titus has to kind of be taught, and even shown by Una, especially with his hatred for Jekt. We do have these attachments and these obligations. If we go too far in rebelling against them, it causes inner anger and resentment.
Oh, definitely.
And you sort of end up hurting yourself in the process. And we've sort of seen that with Titus. But with Una, if you're too much committed to the obligation, and Titus comes in, and what's really beautiful to me with this couple is they both kind of realise that though they have to do this thing, they're going to do it their way.
Yeah, yeah.
And Titus very much kind of encourages that. And it's the little things. Even when, about having thoughts in your head, when he goes around and he's like, such thoughts are very unbecoming. The goddamn truck's loud as hell. I am so itchy! Yeah, I'm getting eaten.
A few bites.
Yeah, such thoughts are unbecoming of a summoner. It sort of makes a joke about it. And there is this sort of light-hearted quippiness that has kind of gone into overdrive at the part of the story we're in. Because what I find interesting about 10 is it's a very close-knit and established group off the bat.
Yeah, yeah, which is something I think I've said on stream, but you don't... a few RPGs I've played before, you get party members throughout the game.
Yeah, and that's typically how Final Fantasy
fed. And there's often characters which you'll get towards more sort of the second half of the game where you think, I wish I had more time with that character. And often in that case, developers haven't written as much dialogue for said character because they haven't been in the game as long. And you'll get to the end and think, oh, who's this interesting character? And you don't get much from them because the way they've been written in.
And that's kind of how old Final Fantasies were. You had a team, and there were some team members who had relations, but with 10, it's an immediately close-knit group, and there's the journey is already in action. Yeah, Yuna's already committed herself to being a summoner. They are her guardians. They are already heading out on this mission, and it totally changes up the way that the game unfolds. So they already know who the enemy is and what the mission is, whereas that's something that's usually kind of acquired along the way. Sort of the characters start in a much more naive, ignorant state, and the villain and the journey and them coming together happens along the way, and it's always that kind of acquisition, the sort of acquiring along the way. Whereas with 10, it feels very much flipped. It's that they're already set on this mission, but now it's actually deconstructing what that mission is actually about. Yeah. And the deeper that they go in that, the more these sort of layers of falsehood and a lot gets exposed throughout the game.
And one thing I've noticed where we are at the moment is that a lot of the characters are having to started questioning their beliefs. I mean, Wakka's a perfect example from what we haven't seen like his too much sort of relationship growth between him and Riku now that she's come into the game.
Well, he still doesn't know she's an Albed.
Yeah, exactly that. So, and he also doesn't know. Still doesn't know that Yuna's half Albed as well, does he?
No.
Or does he know that?
I think Wakka must know Yuna's half Albed. Must know.
But even then, he's having to question. He'll have to go to a point when he's going to question his, because he's against them completely, isn't he? The Albed. Yeah. He hates them. Like
dogma, mental conditioning, biases, culturally or family derived. Very much what 10 dives into. And it's interesting. And the reason why Square Enix took on that theme with, it was Squaresoft at that point. Katase was just becoming a father, and they wanted to explore a lot of the themes surrounding an individual becoming free to be themselves. And it's a funky old question, free to be yourself. It's one I've done a lot of exploring in, because how do you really define your identity? What do you define it with? Do you define it with labels? I'm a insert profession. I have X, name members of your family, and I live in B, name your country and particular town. This is kind of the way that the humans who are very much outward projecting, and we kind of come into this world looking for identity. It's like a very core, probably the most core aspect of the human condition is to try to figure out who and what we are.
Yeah.
And 10 piles in so many of these different attachment styles that different characters have had. But even over, and this is where we've talked about Gnosticism and Shinto Buddhism being very core to the 10 story. My questioning sort of went down that vein for the longest of time, and then I read this. I can't remember the exact word. I'll insert it if I find it on the screen. But it essentially means that the path to discovering who you really are and having that freedom to be yourself is actually not a process of addition, it's a process of subtraction. And there's a little phrase that means not this, not that.
Yeah.
And that you go through these experiences in life and you ascribe to these different either practices, or maybe you do try on a religion, maybe you do try on a particular faith. You know, I feel like some people think that once you try it once, you have to stick with it.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's not something, or that changing your faith is, the beliefs that you put onto things are very superficial. Because it's very superficial if you can just change it round. But the question I always ask is, why not? Why not try on different religions? Why not?
I think it's when things get, I won't say, I suppose, dangerous. It could be dangerous in certain individuals that if they stick to one religion and they devote their life to it, and the religions that sort of almost take away, when you get really into it, almost take away the thought, like free will from people.
Can't say too much. Well, we'll get into your little theory, but both of them, Gnosticism is far more orthodox and far more extreme to this degree, but they basically describe that the world of material form and material matter and identification with material things is within itself an illusion. Gnosticism goes further and says it's outright evil. Who was it? Oh yeah, Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth in Gnosticism, he was an Aeon like the Final Fantasy X Aeons, or he was a son of an Aeon, daughter of an... I don't think he was either. He basically came out with the body of a snake and the head of a lion, and he was a monster, and his Aeon mother was absolutely horrified, and sort of he was cast out, and Yaldabaoth created this world and trapped souls in it. So created a world of illusion. We are trapped in this evil plot, this evil ploy, and I think for anyone who's played the game through, you can kind of insert where, in Gnosticism, Jesus, he's actually here to try to break the people who are heavily identified with the world they're in out from that perception, which Titus does. He does it inadvertently. Actually, no, sometimes he does do it very directly. Titus can be very direct in outright challenging stuff. Even little things. We were talking about, because it goes with Shinto, how they have the kamis, and we went to a Inari temple.
We did, yes, yeah.
And how tourists would kind of disrespect this place of prayer.
Yeah, it's because they see it as, it is sort of, I suppose maybe it doesn't help with the way that it's sort of the tourist traps you have outside it as well.
Oh, it's very geared for it.
Yeah, so people don't, people obviously just walk around the temple and that, and they're walking up and just taking photos all the time, noisy.
Loud, and they don't have this proper respect for it. And it's kind of similar to Titus when he's told he can't go into the cloister. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Goes in anyway.
And just goes dashing up.
Yeah.
And Yuna on the flip side, she's far too observant of the traditions and these rules. And I think Final Fantasy X is a call to neither extreme being right. But there has to be a middle path established, because religion, where you're too identified with it, especially material aspects, that's idol worship, there's idolism. And we was even watching, I was reading a cool little article that was describing how that mentality when we kind of came out of the hunter-gatherer phase of our evolution, of which there was not much war.
No.
There was actually not much war. There's a lot of historical evolutionary archaeologists presented evidence to say we're not this inherently warring species.
No.
But then when we got to like the 1700s, we had like 230 wars in a 100-year time span in Europe alone. And they were questioning, what was that? And religion was a part of it. This idea that we sort of divide ourselves into factions. Like you've got the Al-Bed, you've got obviously Yevon. Even how this whole war starts is Bavel versus Zanarkand. And we heard just today that this rivalry built machines up and up and up until supposedly they could destroy the whole world. And that's why Singh came along, as a response to that, letting things get out of hand. But it was really interesting reading this article that they said, now we're moving into this phase where, because we have international trade, we have international travel, where we do go and see each other's cultures, we do live among them. That war, and the fact that we do have the capacity to do way more damage now. But war is on a massive, massive decrease. Now, the ones that do happen have way higher death tolls. But one thing that they said is that sports actually
that's an interesting
rises
one.
up as war goes down. Now, you can't help but think of Blitzball. And especially with how Waka, especially after Kilika was destroyed, and Titus was, is this right to play a game of Blitzball? And Waka is like, this is the best time to play Blitzball.
I suppose it's with sport, maybe human psychology in that it's a way of different tribes of people or countries to sort of compete with each other without violence.
Without violence,
it's
for sure.
Something that people can get behind, and in general it's peaceful.
It's a unifier, and not just unifier, but it also allows the individuals within it, because we're seeking these higher experiences where we get to go in and have honor. The list of traits that are very transcendental, they're very, very high, they're usually kind of out of our reach. And of course humans need this burning, insatiable need that we still haven't get across. You just look at the internet, me doing this video, us doing this review, this kind of need for humans to share their opinions, to share their POVs, and to try to project that onto the rest of the world. And we see that so much among the characters.
We've got 10 seconds left on the recording.
10 seconds? Shit.
Minutes, on the memory card. But
I've only got 7 minutes?
Yeah, apparently so.
We
need to get better.
We'll do many other vids on 10, because honestly, too much to cover in one vid. But I'm just saying, humans' insatiable need to have their personal opinions and beliefs kind of reflected in the people around them. Humans find it very hard to respect another's POV, because it's almost like a challenge. It's like, if your POV is better than mine, well then mine must be inherently flawed.
It's in Yevon's teaching. Well, not that you know.
That's not good enough. Yevon says this, Yevon says that. Can't you think for yourself?
Well, then you tell me. Where did sin come from, huh?
I don't know.
You badmouth Yevon, and that's all you can come up with.
we want to be right as well.
We want to be right. And that's the really, really cool thing that Gnosticism, when we was watching a documentary on it, because it kind of founded around 200 AD, and it was when Christianity was not set in stone.
No.
It was this very amorphous, multi-factional thing that was vying endlessly for what was Christianity. It hadn't formed or shaped itself. And now Gnosticism flips everything on the head with Christianity. The serpent that came to Adam and Eve, that weren't evil, that weren't the devil. That was actually God being like, yo, right, you're all in one big, what's it called? What's the film that? Truman Show.
Truman Show.
Yeah, you're all in one big Truman Show kind of thing. But yeah, as we was listening to how these Christian ideologies sort of evolved and changed, and cultural events and pressures, arguably necessities, sort of played a role, how much it evolved and changed. And that's very much, even though we're only halfway through the game, that's something that you get a sense of with Yevon, isn't it? The religion in this game, that it's a moving goalpost. You've got, even something like the way they dress. You've got Donna dressed like a saucy little tartlet. With the boy Bartello. And then you got, very, very reserved. And I won't say too much spoilers because you're only in 10, but this will develop so much further. New factions of Yevon will branch out, and by the time we get to 10.2 and 10.3 and beyond, it really does ripple out.
It's interesting, really, because it's almost like Yevon seems like such a old or established religion already. And the fact that you say, obviously, I haven't seen anything to do with 10.2, but the fact that it starts branching out in that way from an established religion. And
the fact that it is so established is why the roots of it, what really happened, is so lost. It almost just becomes fairy tale whisperings, things that have never been questioned. And we were talking a bit about this, how intention is something that really matters, because with Shinto Buddhism, and even the aeons in 10, which are all manifestation of God's thoughts. Both of these, the kami, they're spirits, for good or bad, aeons, God's thoughts. Something that Yevon really focuses on, and so do these two ideologies, is the manner, to have a reverence, to have a humility, which I always used to have beef with in the past, because it seemed very much kind of get on your knees and fall in line, a very disempowering concept. But as I've thought more about it, and with Shinto specifically, the idea of having sort of a sincerity with not even just a religion, with kind of everything, with like an awareness where you kind of don't take things for granted. Now, we were even saying how the fact that when the PS2 did come out, it went to voice acting, how much of it was a wow, wow,
crazy.
Or when 7 went to 3D, wow. But now it's like,
people just,
I don't want to play that game, it looks janky and old and retro. And that's in our lifetime. How quickly we become numbed to appreciating things and having that intention with it. And that 10 kind of talks about that as Machina kind of evolved, people's intentions, the intentions of why these things were created, like nuclear power. It was intended to power our world. What did it become?
Just became
a nuclear freaking bomb, didn't it? And because
people start
with each generation, with each person, their intention shifts.
And people start using it for more bad than good. Like it's
more selfish.
Selfish reasons.
For more power, which is something that Oren just pointed out. Like everyone else is all up those maester asses. Can't talk to the maester like that. And Oren's like, I don't give a shit. He's like, Keenock, fuck you, man. Seymour, shut your gob. I'm going over there. He don't give a damn. He's like, maesters, they have power, and anyone, what is it? He said, anyone who has power will use power, and maesters have power. Like Oren being there, calling out the very nature of power itself. We're running out of space with this review, so we're just going to have to...
Just under 2 minutes
2
left.
minutes. We've got Yuna and Tidus between the two of them, finding what it means to be, follow obligation and duty, but still do it yourself, which is, Yuna's thing about, I'm going to go on this journey and I have to do this thing, but if we're going to do it, the one thing we are going to do is smile. I want my journey to be full of laughter. That's one thing that Yuna actually does claim for herself.
And it's such a simple, sounds like such a simple thing, but it makes all the difference. It really isn't.
Makes all the difference, and that's what that scene was. Ha 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 ha. It was Yuna saying that this was one thing that she would sort of claim independence over. And Kamari kind of spoke about it as well, because Kamari, even he's like, Kamari, smile. He recognises that in Yuna. But anyway, before we sign out this rush review, how much we got?
47 seconds.
Quick, your theory that you had from the game on the last stream today.
My theory on the game that I had, that if Oren could have come out of the Farplane. That was
Because we just got to see
Yeah.
my Lord Jiskel came out.
that was it. Lord Jiskel has come out, and I was like, and the way that Seymour talks to Oren about why you're still here, I'm like, could he have come out? Could he have come out the Farplane? Was there a way that people could have, or somebody could have been sent back for a reason? Is there a reason? Like the Farplane itself.
Interesting theory.
Should we go 9 seconds left? Illusions become so powerful that if it felt like the Farplane or whoever felt like it needed
Become
a
actual
saviour
reality.
to become reality and to come out. And
Hold on to those thoughts, for I can say naught.
yes, I want
But
these pictures.
yeah, when you think about that, Gnosticism, Shinto, the whole theme of 10, it's about trying to see it reality for what it truly is. What illusions are here
Yeah.
to try to blind us and pull us off track, separate us from our own free will and our own purposes and callings in life. And it's just a beautiful game.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. I keep saying it, but yeah. If nobody's played it, I just remember. I'm sure most of you have played it, but
Yeah, he's loving it. So yeah,
Yeah.
Full Fantasy Peasant, guys, we're streaming it every day around about 5, 6 Central America time. So
hell, that wasn't a minute, was it? Wow.
Is it recording cancel?
No, it's done it, but it's got like
How much
you've got
now?
11 seconds left.
Oh, okay, okay. Super scatty because we're running out of SD card space between trying to get on the boat and get on the drone. But if you like this review, and we will do more and review it at the end, comment, like, and subscribe. And yeah, hopefully see you over on the stream
See you
Maroons.
soon.
Peace! Goodbye!
Don't think yeah. You got that last most of it. But fuck's sake. I mean, you got the recording of our voices towards the end, so